I want to start with Cleveland because I thought if Cleveland or Memphis got Mitchell, that was a game changer for either of those teams. Like, I don't think Mitchell is a true number one. I think he's somewhere between a 1 and a 2. But the framework of those teams, I felt like if either of those teams can get Mitchell, they're a contender. Now you look at Cleveland, Mobley under contract, forever. Sexton under contract for a while. Now Mitchell under contract for 4 years. Jared Allen as the fourth. What are you thinking as a contender for this team? Because I don't think they're going to contend this year, but I think they could be super frisky the way Memphis was. But down the road of this decade, I really like that as a foursome. What do you think?
I love this trade for Cleveland. Love this trade. I think we should probably spend some time on talking about who Donovan Mitchell is. I think it's one of those things where we all actually probably agree, but we pretend we disagree on the overrated, underrated thing. As far as being a number one, like when somebody says, oh, can he be the Batman on a championship team? The answer is no. The answer is no for probably 444 players in the league. All right.
Right.
The Batman thing on his own. First of all, nobody can do it on their own. The list of guys that truly are a franchise changing, it's never a double-digit number. To me, it's always
7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe at best. So, all right, fine. Mitchell isn't that. But what is he? He's somebody when I'm looking at my all-star, not my all-star, my all-NBA voting where I'm going like, can I sneak him onto the third team? Would that be terrible? That's how good he is. And when you factor in what he's done so far in his career as a playoff guy. Now, I know everybody's off everything that's happened with Utah because everybody's just kind of anti-Utah. They get sick of this team not getting past the second round. But that series against Phoenix, man, like that is otherworldly shit that he was doing against that team. Against Denver.
Yeah.
57, 30, 20, 51, 30, 44, 22. So when I've watched a lot of Mitchell, and if I wanted to spin this as like anti-Mitchell, I'd be like, yeah, there's a little stuff in there. He forces the issue, and maybe not the greatest playmaker.
A whiff of Westbrook, just
a little. I always say that little Westbrook light, little concerning at times. I think that also could be him frustrated with his teammates, which whatever. We'll pay attention. We'll monitor that. But when you talk about the rest of who this guy is at 25 years old, and once you accept that there just aren't that many guys that all of a sudden make you a championship contender, this is an incredible pickup, which I think identifies a massive problem for the Cavs. When I would watch them late in games, it was Darius Garland dribbling around for fucking ever, trying to figure out, like, I have to initiate the offense on every one of these tight possessions here late.
Yeah.
This completely changes their offensive attack late in games that they thought they were going to solve with Karis LeVert, because everybody likes Karis LeVert until he's on your basketball team. And then you're like, oh, wait, this guy just kind of does whatever he wants. So the Cleveland part, I love this for them.
We like Mitchell as, even if he's a little overrated, I think some people might think he's a super duper star. Maybe people have cooled off on that. But what he is a gunslinger. If I'm in a playoff series or I'm in a big game, and the other team has somebody who's really good. And now I know, at least on my side, I have a guy who can create a shot. Garland showed signs during the regular season as somebody who his ceiling was kind of where Mitchell is right now, but as somebody who could be the creator playmaker on a team that was really, really good, that could even win a couple rounds. Mitchell's already there. I really wanted Mitchell to go to a team where he was part of a bigger team, like an 89 Pistons type of situation where they just had a lot of good players. And it's like, all right, here's what this guy's good at. If it's a tie game with 4 minutes left, he can create his own shot and he could do stuff. And the other thing, the big guys can protect him on this team, right? Because you would think like, all right, what's your concern now with these guys? The way Mitchell played defense the last couple of years.
This year against Dallas,
it was
the Dallas series was awful.
But it also, there might have been some effort stuff too, and he also took a lot of shit for it, so maybe he'll raise the stakes. But the point is, when you have Allen and Mobley, especially Mobley, you can erase a lot of stuff with that. And that's why, like, man, I know Utah got a lot of picks in this trade, but I don't really want picks that much on the team that Evan Mobley's on. I think you and I might rate him we're in the highest level of Mobley fans, right? But this is, there's a chance this is Tim Duncan in the late 90s where that he could have that kind of moment. I just think he's such a special player. Now you're giving him two awesome playmaking guards, and you're giving him Jared Allen as now the fourth guy in the team. And they still have the Kevin Love contract to trade. That was the part that amazed me. I thought Kevin Love was going to be in this trade. Now they potentially can do something with that in February, maybe LeVert and Love together. So just the four guys, if that's my nucleus for the rest of the decade, I'm pumped. And I wasn't surprised that we saw this the same way.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a million things I could do on the team. Like if you look at the Cavs, right? It was a really good story. And it was a young team that was playing really good defense. They at one point were 35-21. They finished the season 9-17 to close. And as their seeding was starting to fall off, I was like, oh man, like I really wanted you to be in that top 6. But they defended really well as a young team. The reason they fell off is Jared Allen got hurt. He played only 6 of 24 games in the second half. So when you look at who they were defensively, before the All-Star break, they were 4th. And after the All-Star break, they dropped to 24th. So they're a completely different team defensively. And a lot of that had to do with Allen. Mobley's only going to be better. I'd like to see, this is the rarefied air to even mention Duncan with anybody. Like, I don't really want to do that.
I agree. I didn't do it lightly. I didn't take it lightly.
But, I'd like to, if I were being super, super hypercritical of Mobley, I'd like to see some of the offense initiation be maybe a little bit smoother, but it's still too early to even be like, hey, this is an issue.
But you love the passing with him.
I love
right?
all of it. Yeah. He doesn't make mistakes. He's fucking positioned perfectly. His block rate
that guy.
is insane. So even if you're going, all right, well, now you have Garland and Mitchell who defensively, by the way, Mitchell, it's funny because I'll hear like small guard. First of all, he's stout and his wingspan's 6'10". With that kind of wingspan and that kind of athleticism, you being anything below average as a defender is on you.
That's an effort thing and you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah. So that part, always pisses me off when I see a guy's like, what, how are you not better defensively? And again, that Dallas thing, we've been over it already, but you're right. Filtering to those bigs that are switchable and seeing how much the defense completely fell apart. Like as much as I felt like the stats don't back it up much, but I'm not wrong about this. When I watch them on offense in a close, tight possession, last couple minutes, some of the Garland clutch offensive efficiency does dip down. It's not as dramatic as maybe my eyes.
But they were asking a lot from him, though. I think that's part of the problem.
That's it. None of it to me is on him because I think he's a very willing teammate. I think they were just lost because Markkanen to me is always kind of a disappointment. We can get into that part of it. Obviously, Sexton only played the 11 games. LeVert's a mess. Okoro's not much offensively. And you were left at so many Cleveland games at the very end going, I just wish they had another attacking guy. And they got one of the best ones you're ever going to get your hands on.
I'm glad you mentioned Okoro because he's one of the winners of this trade. Hey, Okoro, we're never going to run and play for you. You're going to shoot corner threes, practice 5,000 a day, and guard the other team's best guy. You have 2 jobs. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. You might have to run a couple. You might the wing on like 2 fast breaks a game. Other than that, you're in the corner and you're guarding the other team's best guy. And the Mobley thing, we've talked about him before. I think he has a chance to be like a transcendent defensive player, like a really, really special forward who can guard basically everybody on the floor. He was kind of already doing that last year. So you think like for him, we've seen so many times like superstars come into the league and potential superstars. Like look at LeBron, like those Cleveland teams he played on the first 6 years where, Boozer leaves and they're just trying to play catch up and get dudes and Larry Hughes and they just never had the right team around him. The only guy in the last 25 years who walked into the perfect situation was Duncan. Where he comes in, he's got Robinson next to him, he's got Popovich, they got veterans and they're just immediately good. And I think that's why
they were already really good.
Right. They won that year, but they were a 55-win team every year. So you look at Mobley, like this is about as good of a situation for somebody that I think has a chance to be like a top 75 guy all time. I really think it's in place for him if he can stay healthy. So you can't come up with a better situation than this.